President, we're going to, did he pay his money?
He still has not renewed his license.
Oh, okay, well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about that first, and once we get from there. But he has been making a effort to clean this little area. I mean, people have been calling and saying, oh my God, they just so pleased with we've making effort. But he needs to pay his business license. So we'll see what they say when you get in here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2. 20% of projected cost for the purpose of a grant. Who's handling this one? They're kind of standing up for it. You got that, Sylvia?
We're withdrawing it.
You withdrawing it? Okay. Thank you very much. I like to speed things up. Okay. Item number 3. Mr. I don't think we can do this, but. They rejected? Okay, all right. Number 3, we just can't do that.
They rejected it?
Yeah, county rejected it. So, we can't, I'm with them. Okay. Well, if you can give it to a non-profit, but you can't give it to an individual. You could give money anyway, I believe, yeah. I think you could, yeah. Okay, item number 4. We're going to have a review by the ambulance services. They'll be here at 5 o'clock. Ambulance services coming at 5 o'clock. Okay. All right. Number 5.
Charlie, it's just a simple change.
That's right. You and Glenn changing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
No
we
problem.
need to carry it over because somebody told me that we couldn't move the district lines except right after the census, and I'm questioning that, so we just need to carry it over.
Carry
so I
this
can
over?
See that
Okay.
for sure. Is that okay?
Whatever you say, madam. Okay. Number 6, rental hall.
Commercial Boulevard.
Yeah,
You see me look at you?
that's got to be Brandon's district. Yeah.
And there's not a building on it, it's just a vacant lot.
Vacant lot.
Yes, sir. That was brought to my attention, and it was just a vacant lot.
You'll have a tent revival, I guess, something like
I have no earthly.
I guess so.
that. We'll talk, let them talk to us about that one, Ann. Okay? All right, number 7. Number 7 is Bell Road. Oh, this is in my district, karaoke place.
And Sharon,
Yeah, I've never had a problem there.
Oh, yeah, the karaoke spot.
Bell
It's in
Bone
front of
Road,
the,
yeah, it's been there for years.
Chinese grocery store.
Huh?
It's a vacant bank on the corner.
Yeah.
And it's across the street.
This is in front of the old vacant grocery store there on Bell Road. Yes? Never been a problem, I know of. We'll see what the story is when they get here on 5 o'clock, but I have no problem with it. It's in my district.
Take over.
Okay? We got a bunch of information here, though.
Well, I think I'm Whitney Houston.
Yep, what's the number 8? Is that what it is? Okay, change on, yep, let's go. Number 9,
It's a change. I don't know if it was closed down or not, but it's a service station. I don't have a problem with it.
okay,
Having beer, wine.
good deal. All right, number 8, what did
10,
I do?
is board appointment.
Mine got out of balance here somewhere.
11 is the board appointment.
Amen.
Yep. Number 9 is the Northwest South Boulevard, okay. And number 10 is a Housing Authority appointment. Number 11, Clean City Committee.
Brenda, we bringing the other one from the floor.
I put it on
I
Mr.
got 'em,
Grimes'
yeah,
place
hand 'em out
because
to
it
you.
becomes his appointment.
Let me get through this and I'll hand everything out. Number 12 is the tear downs. Okay. All right, let's go to this is the one on the, we're going to need a motion to reconsider on this. Let me pass this out to everybody. There's 3 going that way. You've had before going that way. Okay. This is the matching funds for the Cypress Reserve, and we can't do it the way it's set up.
You need to do 1723 first.
Huh?
You need to do 1723 first, because you have to do it in the order in which they were adopted.
Oh, okay.
The,
Thank you for keeping me straight.
City Service Line Warranty Program.
You talking about Resolution 17, 2023?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me pass that out and we'll go from there, okay? Yeah, here, take that. I'll take those. Hold it, wait, what you got, Brenda, this is the one about the water on 2023. Oh, okay, 2017, 2023.
Yeah. That's the City Service Line Warranty Program that y'all said y'all wanted to reconsider and deny.
Let me turn this thing up, I ain't hearing it very well. Okay. All right, we need to reconsider this item because of the, some issues we've heard about, we found out about that preying on poor people. And we'd like to reconsider this. So it needs to be somebody on the positive vote. I was one of the negative votes.
Everybody but 7 and 9 can, anybody but 7 and 9 can make a motion to
Okay,
reconsider.
I need a motion to reconsider.
Well, you don't do it here, you do it in
Oh,
the
that's
meeting.
right.
in
Okay.
the work session.
All right, we got that in the file. Okay. Same thing on the deal with the Cypress
ADAC
Nature.
for Cypress Natures.
Do it at regular council meeting, okay?
And the same thing,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. Talk to me, Ms. Johnson.
Oh, I was just trying to find out what was going on. I was a bit confused.
I got a call from Waterworks saying this thing, they really prey on poor people, not the average, but they prey on the poor people. So Waterworks really didn't want anything to do with it at all, because they felt like that's what's happened across the board. These things that poor people will buy it because they get a big good deal, but they prey on these people, and that's what he was told me. That's my opinion. Okay.
Did you have something like something that
I
was
don't-
showing that was happening?
I don't have anything like that. I just got a call from the Waterworks chairman, and he said he didn't want to be a part of it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Who's the chairman now?
Well, Mr. Henderson is the general manager.
Oh, Mr. Henderson.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that when we spoke. We spoke.
Huh?
We spoke about it.
Did you?
Yeah, he didn't tell me about that.
Anyway, okay. All right, now the other one's about the money. We cannot use ARPA money to do a fund, do a grant. So we're going to have to reverse this until we find a way to get the money a different way to sponsor this grant, my understanding. So that'll be come up on the next meeting, okay? And then we got another resolution here in front of us.
yes, I put the wrong name in the resolution, so you just need to make a motion to reconsider, then amend it with the correct name in it.
Okay, here's y'all's copy.
It should have been Donna Nelson instead of Martha Colson.
Here's y'all's copy, okay. All right. Okay, for the, I guess I would have done something on my,
Yeah.
somewhere. I had it all together.
This is what
Here it is. Work session, okay. Okay, we have 3 people to address us in the work session. Will Connor to address us on the River Region Trails in his PowerPoint. Will?
I don't like coming in there knowing what's going on.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. President
Yes,
and
sir.
council, city staff. I am honored to be here tonight to present to you a summary of the master plan for a path and trail network for the city of Montgomery and surrounding areas of the county. The plan that we're presenting here today is a culmination of about a year's worth of planning work that was sponsored by the city and the county starting in late 2021. And to just give a little bit of background on that, River Region Trails is a private nonprofit organization that has partnered with the city and county to advance and advocate for the development of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. And to start,
Let me stop you. How long have you been partnered with the city, county?
the original MOU was signed in late 2019, and then we re-signed it, I believe, in 2021.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jenwright. So just as in kind of a brief history, we started by developing an economic and health impact report that I presented to you all in 2021. And from there, we led into a full master planning effort, which included community engagement and as well as some test projects that we've done, kind of low impact projects throughout the city. And the community engagement included multiple meetings in various locations throughout the city. We did an online survey. We also did an online input map where the community had an opportunity to identify places that were in need of improved pedestrian and bicycling infrastructure. And so all of that is summarized in the master plan and informed what we are presenting here today. Next slide, please. So this is a continuation of previous planning. This is not an idea that I created. I just want to stress that we were following the call of the Envision 2040 comprehensive plan that strongly identified a need for a network of pedestrian and cycling infrastructure, as well as the development of Cypress Nature Park, which we're not going to talk a lot about tonight, but is also a project that we're working on. The Walk Bike River Region Plan also calls for this work to be done, and most recently the Downtown Action Plan identified 7 of the 25 action items they identified were related to walkability and bikeability, and all of that leads to the plan that I am presenting here to you tonight. Next slide. So very briefly, this is some of the answers that we found from our community engagement and as well as our economic and health impact. The economic impact report identified an estimated $18.3 million in economic impact yearly based on 85 miles of trail to be developed. The master plan has since identified almost twice that amount of trail in possible development. So there's a huge amount of potential impact. But apart from the dollars, we know from studying other cities that Montgomery looks to for reference and for inspiration, that developing greenways has a positive effect in all of these areas. Tourism and recruitment particularly, but also connection through neighborhoods that have been previously divided, safe transportation options, health and wellness for the community, and the list goes on and on. Next slide. So just to be clear, what we're talking about is not the trails on the left. We're not talking about natural surface trails in parks, although those are a valid and valuable part of the community. What we are specifically talking about is routes of transportation. So imagine roads for alternative transportation uses. Just 2 weeks ago at this meeting, we approved bird scooters coming to Montgomery, but we do not have the infrastructure yet to support them. That's what this plan is meant to address. We are talking about any type of alternative transportation: walking, biking, scooters, wheelchairs, strollers, any type of transportation that you might not deem to be safe on our existing streets. Next slide, please. Here's a few examples of what this network could be made up of. These are various typologies. You could be looking at simply bike lanes alongside sidewalks. You could be looking at wide separated pathways alongside the road. One that's particularly popular is rails to trails or rails with trails. These are reuses of existing rail corridors. All of these options are identified as valid, and the network that we're presenting is made up of all of these types of options, as well as, in some cases, things as simple as existing sidewalks and bike lanes. Next slide, please. Here are some of the comparable projects that I mentioned. All of these cities are doing this work right now. The Singing River Trail in Huntsville, the Birmingham's network is called Red Rock Trails. Greenville, South Carolina has had a huge success with their trail. A city about half the size of Montgomery sees 500,000 visitors to their trail network every year. This is a massive driver and attraction for visitors. And you see a few others there as well. So we are learning lessons from other cities that are doing the kind of work that has been identified in our previous planning that we should be doing. And next slide. Very briefly, all this information is in the plan, but what we have done is identified a potential of 156 miles of network throughout Montgomery. Now, I'm not saying that we would build all of that. This is simply a plan to identify where to focus, and the steering committee for this effort then prioritized all of these 156 miles based on prioritization categories such as the density of people around it, the density of destinations to connect to, the economic and social level of the neighborhoods and their need for alternative transportation. Also, the type of land use surrounding each route. There's a whole prioritization category. So what you will find is that a number of the priority projects are located near and around downtown, and that is based almost entirely on the density of the neighborhoods and the destinations in and around downtown. So not all of them are, but a majority of the high priority projects are in the downtown and midtown areas. We identified 4 projects that stood out as catalyst projects. Next slide. We also identified that there is work going on regionally that this project would be a part of, and this is really exciting to me. There is ongoing efforts on the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail and an ongoing effort on the east side of Montgomery all the way to Phoenix City and Columbus and connecting to their trails there. So you can see that there is a potential for this to be a central location on a Black Belt regional trail. This, as noted there, that regional aspect enhances the ability to access federal funding for these types of projects. And next slide. The what's next is to finalize and adopt the plan. That's a standard procedure for all plans the city produces. We have an opportunity to obligate ARPA funding to spark this development. There is a myriad of grant funding available that we need to begin working on, and the plan also identifies quick hit projects in each district that will go ahead and address kind of emergency needs for walkability and bikeability, and then we begin design and engineering and the acquisition necessary. Next slide, please. And so with that, I will turn it over for any questions.
Our biggest, the matching money coming from ARPA, we understand we can't do that anymore. That doesn't qualify as a match toward these grants. So I guess we're going to have to come back and figure out a way to change the way we do our ARPA funds to accommodate the match.
Yeah, I think the answer is that it's not doable, but that it has to come through either the revenue loss categorization or the matches have to be done through in-kind. So there are ways to do it, but I don't think it's a direct cash contribution.
As the city, have you been in touch with the city or the finance department about that?
Yes, we've been having ongoing conversations about that.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So we don't know at this point what we're going to do?
There is not an item, I don't have an item on the agenda for tonight. Okay. So this was purely meant to be informational. You all have the plan, and I hope you've had a chance to review it. And I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Will, I got one.
Yeah.
The rail, do we have the rail that runs from here to Oak Park, from down here?
Jackson Track.
We do not. No, it's currently owned by the Norfolk Southern Corporation. We have had, over the past 5 years, we've had kind of a steady conversation with them, but there's never been any funding to move that acquisition forward.
Do we have a price?
We do not. We have their price, but we have not done an appraisal to counter that. We have their suggested price.
All right, we've talked about this before. What do you think that price would be?
For that particular corridor, I think that price would be somewhere between $200,000 and say $800,000.
All right, Charlie, I'm asking you now, could we use ARPA funds to buy that property or not?
Terry?
Susan?
Susan?
You have to use, for a direct cash match, you would need to use revenue loss funds, because those can be
Okay,
used.
that answers that question.
But you're saying not a match to a grant, but just a direct,
Just to buy it so we could get, so we
just a
could
direct
have it.
acquisition.
And you can buy property directly with ARPA funds. What you
Okay.
can't do is use it as a cash equivalent match
No.
to a grant.
I'm not.
But you
I'm
could
ta-
purchase the property with ARPA funds, yes.
So, Will, I guess is we negotiate and come back and say, hey, they'll sell it for 400, and we get 400 ARPA fund and buy it, so it's done and it's locked up.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. The negotiations have never been able to go too far without any sort of backing. So knowing that there's a possibility then could allow us to restart that
Put
conversation.
Mr. Steiner to work.
That's right.
Yeah,
This
we were
final
talking about it,
picture
yeah.
is that railroad line looking into the cemetery.
Big deal, big deal.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Well, I
you,
mean,
thank you, Will.
Let's see if we can't buy it.
Okay?
All right,
Any more?
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Will.
Appreciate it.
Bill, God, Mr. Think Big, where you at, Bill? I saw him. There you are. Preacher? Teacher? I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Jenry. Good evening,
Good evening.
councilmen
Good evening.
and councilwomen. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So much is going on in the world, and of course, that includes Montgomery. There are problems, and there are no two ways about it. But I'm here to tell you, in no uncertain terms, that while there are problems, there are solutions. And I just want to encourage you with a word from the Lord and say, there's nothing too hard for God.
Amen.
I don't care how difficult it may appear. Nothing is too hard for God. And it just so happens that for 33 years, I've been saying, think big is the solution. You got to get people to think big, talk big, and take big action. And I just want to introduce a young man to you who had gone through the system of DHR for his entire life. And he aged out of DHR at the end of January. And within 10 days, he was going to be on the streets of Montgomery because he could no longer afford to pay the cost of the hotel cost to stay there. And he called me and asked for help. Now, I've been helping him for 2 years. Please hear me clearly. I've been helping him for 2 years, and we've been telling him that this day was going to come if he didn't do what he needed to do in order to pass the math portion of the GED. But when He stayed a night on one of the coldest nights this year outside of the hotel, and I picked him up the next morning. He was ready for change. Now, let me tell you how I know he was ready for change. I brought him into my house, and I told him what the rules were, and I said, you have got to do what you've got to do, because a man has got to do what a man's got to do. He got his act together, and by Tuesday of that week, with much prayer, stretching out before God for help, he passed the GED math portion.
Congratulations, that's great.
Now, here's what I'm saying. There are lots of young people in Montgomery who are falling through the cracks, and the same lessons that were taught him can be used to help young people all over Montgomery, and that's what I'm here to do, to say, think big, talk big, and take big action. Just consider when you make donations to community projects,
Would you do it?
American Association for Children is a good place to put your money.
Very good, Bill. Thank you. Leroy Frazier. Leroy Frazier. Speak to us on.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, sir.
distinguished council members. I am Leroy Frazier, Public Information Officer with the United States Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. I'm here in response to the tornado and bad weather that took place back on January the 12th. It left approximately 50% of the counties impacted in Alabama, either by physical disaster or by economic injury. And there were 10 primary counties, which meant that they had economic injury and physical disaster. There were another 24 counties in Alabama that experienced economic injury. And we classify economic injury as the inability to pay ongoing and necessary bills the way that the nonprofit organization or the business could do prior to the disaster. In the case of Montgomery County, which I have been assigned to by the federal government to conduct outreach, and I request your assistance in helping me to do so, that there may have been businesses and nonprofit organizations that may have been economically impacted because they were doing business with some of those counties that experienced physical disaster, and for that reason, it may have impacted their business in Montgomery County. And what the United States Small Business Administration provide would be low-interest loans to assist businesses and nonprofit organizations in Montgomery County to make payroll, to pay their fixed debt, to pay suppliers and other expenses until they recover from economic injury resulting from January 12th. They can borrow up to $2 million depending upon the economic injury that they have experienced. The interest rates for businesses are as low as 3.305% interest, and for nonprofit organizations as low as 2.375%. The collateral, there is no collateral if loans are $25,000 or less. If it's more than $25,000, then we suggest that they talk directly with the loan officer. And I'll bring this to closure by saying that there are some advantages of this economic injury because we want to see businesses survive and thrive. There is 0% interest for the first 12 months. There is no payment due until 12 months after they receive the funds. The terms are up to 30 years, and the loan officer will work with the borrower to ensure that the loan payment fit within their budget. There is no cost to apply, there's no obligation to accept the loan if it's offered, and there's no penalty for early payoff. The thing that we would suggest that individuals do is to call FEMA 1-800-621-3362 or go online, disasterassistance.gov, and indicate that you've been economically injured and would like to be considered for economic injury disaster loans. And after that, they perhaps would be referred to the United States Small Business Administration, and these are my closing comments. And if they are referred to the United States Small Business Administration, they can register online, disasterloanassistance.gov, or they can visit a business recovery center, but they're quite distant from here, so we suggest online. Or they can call 1-800-659-2955 in order to get additional information. The deadline for applying is October the 16th. However, I am your public information officer assigned by the United States government, and I will be on the ground in Montgomery County and in the city of Montgomery until March the 16th. I will be emailing if you have not received the email from the United States Small Business Administration. I will email all of this information to you, and I request your assistance. Help me to get on the radio, television, churches, anywhere necessary to get this word out that this federal assistance is available. Thank you for this opportunity.
He's going to email it all to you.
I can email it.
Email all it to us, yeah.
You don't have any information today, any pamphlet or?
I do have some pamphlets today I can leave with you. Where shall I leave it?
Here.
Okay, I'll bring it over to her. Thank you so much, and I'll leave my card also.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, council, that concludes our people to talk to us, so we will adjourn until 5 o'clock.